Welcome to the Goose One channel. The Netherrealm Studios era of Mortal Kombat, in most ways including story, has been a turbulent one from jump. MK9 was a great original take on a series reboot while also building up an interesting and familiar version of the original Mortal Kombat world. MKX, if weak in some areas like its new characters, Devora, did manage to build cool new stuff into the lore like Kotal Khan. MK11, then, is where I believe they kinda dropped the ball. Instead of building further on the world they created or telling a character-based story, we focus on time travel and all that bullshit. It doesn't let us focus on the actual characters in any capacity other than them interacting with their past versions, and the new antagonists range from alright to straight ass. But despite my hangups, I still think MK11's writers made one really good decision. They ended that shit with another fucking reboot. And that's where my hype for MK1 started. I was disappointed in MK11's story, as one might be able to tell from what I just said, and as someone who has been so connected to the Mortal Kombat IP, one of the only games I can ever get my mom to play, it was even more disappointing. Yet, with that ending, there was this spark of hope. Could we get a redo of MK9, I thought? Another attempt at rewriting the story of Mortal Kombat, of rebuilding this honestly really cool mythology without all the baggage they somehow built up over the course of 3 games. And as we finally get into the story of the game actually in this video's title, we can begin to answer that question. Mortal Kombat 1's story starts off on an incredibly strong foot. One of the first things I noticed when I originally experienced the story was how natural all the dialogue felt. Mortal Kombat has always been kind of campy and stilted. Its dialogue thrived in the grand and epic, and faltered in more intimate character moments that facilitated snappier interplay between two voices. This tradition was promptly broken as soon as Mortal Kombat 1's first cutscene starts. In this new world crafted by Fire God Liu Kang's hands, Raiden and Kung Lao stand side by side as comrades and friends in a small farmer's village. This little squabble is just so fun already. We're met with such natural dialogue that feels so strange to be coming out of the mouths of Mortal Kombat characters. Yet it's charming as all get out. For now, I'm going to stop the whole play-by-play angle and look more to the macro. And to start it off, I'd like to discuss this new Mortal Kombat mythos that's been constructed here. Again, this might sound kinda silly when I'm talking about Mortal Kombat of all things, but this version of Mortal Kombat is a lot more grounded than any preceding editions. And while it's hardly original for a lore that's been retread twice in the past 2 decades, I think it's done in an incredibly inventive and fun way. We kind of get a redo of the same thing MK9 does, following Kung Lao, Johnny Cage, and Kenshi as they get introduced into the crazier aspects of their world. Though, as I emphasized before, the greater focus on character dynamic is obvious from the word go. And nowhere is that more so the case than when we look at Johnny Cage and Kenshi. Not Johnny Cage / Kenshi, that's for another website. Kenshi and Johnny are introduced alongside one another, and their character arcs are intrinsically linked. Stripped down to the bone, we have Johnny's arc, following him in a financial rut as an actor, finding meaning to life outside of his fame, and learning to be less of a cocky asshole. Then, on the flip side, we have Kenshi's arc. Kenshi Takahashi, a descendant of the late Taira clan, wants to bring his family blade Sento back to Japan so he can lead his Yakuza-corrupted clan out of the dark. And coincidentally, that very sword currently belongs to Johnny Cage. And so from jump, these arcs are intertwined at the root. Johnny learns to care for others when Kenshi steps in and gets his eyes gouged out by Melina, spoilers, to save his life. Then on the flip side, Kenshi becomes less connected to his whole self-made destiny of loneliness that he feels so indebted to, and learns to be less of a lone wolf. But deeper than the broad strokes of these intertwined arcs, every piece of banter shared between these two is just so indelibly fun. To get back to the story, Fire God Liu Kang brings together the warriors of Earthrealm to fight for their right to exist in the so many of Mortal Kombat tournament. And it's Mortal Kombat, it's a trite setup. It's not just a trite setup, actually, it's kind of the only one this franchise has, of course. And as such, we don't really focus on the tournament itself. Instead, we focus on everything surrounding the tournament. We focus on Shao Kahn, his shady dealings with sorcerer Shang Tsung, the strange affliction Queen Sindel's daughter Melina has that, well, anyone who's ever played or seen any of the other Mortal Kombats can solve pretty fucking easily. But the setup works so well. The problem with Mortal Kombat as a plot device itself is that it's hard for character dynamics to flourish in this environment. If it's all about people fighting each other to the death, They don't have time to talk. And for a gamey game that works, but for a story, you kind of have to work around it. A great example is this scene right after the banquet at Empress Sindel's palace. This scene between her and Shao Kahn, followed by her confrontation with her daughters, is just incredibly well done and flows so much more naturally than I'd ever expect from a Mortal Kombat game. Another one of these character dynamics that thrives then in this story is the one between Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Smoke. Recasting these three iconic characters, maybe the most iconic designs in the whole franchise, as brothers of the same clan is kind of genius. It naturally explains the homogeny in their designs while also furthering the personalness, familiarity of Sub-Zero's eventual betrayal. Still, about an hour into the game, a worrying omen teleports right into our view. Garrus is back. Like I said earlier, of the Mortal Kombat 11 antags, Garrus is the least ass. He's not as obnoxious as Chronica nor the other one that I don't remember, and I swear to God I don't mean this in a misogynistic way. Fact of the matter, however, he still represents the stink of Mortal Kombat 11. His first appearance here is tame, warning Liu Kang that the nullifications he put in place to nullify certain bad actors are failing. Namely, Shang Tsung is defying his destiny and has infiltrated Sindel's court. After informing Liu Kang of this though, he disappears and we move on with the story. Liu Kang sends Kenshi, Kung Lao, and Johnny Cage on a mission to find Shang Tsung and discover what he's planning, a secret mission behind both Shao Kahn's and Empress Sindel's backs. In this segment, we meet this timeline's version of Baraka and the Tarkatans, and I actually really like this lore point. I think Tarkat serves a cool double thematic purpose as pandemic commentary and class-based subjugation commentary. It's not perfectly handled, but I still think it's kind of interesting at least. The confrontation in Shang Tsung's lab has always kind of bugged me though. Waltzing into this intentionally vague speech of Shang's, talking about what is ostensibly a Tarkat cure, the crew choose to attack him, Tanya, and Rain instead of listening to any of their words. And to be entirely fair, it's not like any of those words are very clear at all.
They've already seen too much.
Liu Kang sent you, didn't he? Sent you to learn our secrets.
He sent us here for Shang Tsung, but it looks like he's just part of the problem.
This entire confrontation is filled with explanations that don't explain anything and serve to keep their intentions vague. And I understand the narrative reason for this. It's just very contrived, written in a way that pulls one out of the immersion to some extent because I can't imagine these people being this stupid. Despite that, the scene of Kenshi losing his eyes is incredible.
It's now or never, Shang Tsung.
Well, it's still kind of a contrived origin story we have to put in here, plot point, but the actual scene is great and it serves to set up the turn for Johnny's character arc really nicely. Now, this scene in the jail is also incredible. Like I said before, MK1 really lets his character work shine, and nowhere is it more obvious than in this scene. The small conversation between Kenshi and Baraka and how downtrodden and sullen Kenshi is throughout it, the smooth introduction of Reptile, and this weirdly tender ship 80 scene of Johnny putting on Kenshi's eye wraps, though maybe that's just my brain rot chipper mind. Now, the entire Living Forest segment just feels kind of superfluous to me. I don't care about Ashra or Natara. This all just feels kind of pointless and fillery. Again, I understand its narrative purpose in setting up the soul-sucking machines, but that whole plot point is... We'll get to that later, but just like the previous section, Johnny and Kenshi always deliver. This scene of Johnny giving Sento back to Kenshi is great and was the point in the story where I was most locked in because these characters were just so... They were written so naturally. It's so well written and acted, shot and animated. It's just super, super well done. It's one of those gaming cutscenes I just think about a lot.
What? I can't. Not when you
saved my life. It's yours.
Also, shout out to the choreo in this Kenshi vs Ermac fight. Super smooth, and I love how they factor his blindness into his fighting style. His head remaining pretty much straightforward because he lacks the need to see his opponent at all. Super cool. After the crew regathers with Raiden, we switch perspectives to the Lin Kuei brothers, Smoke, Scorpion, and Sub-Zero, and I've said it before, but I love this reframing of these three ninja characters. One thing this game, lore-wise, is so good at is consolidating all these different characters back into a smaller seeming world. Instead of the Lin Kuei and the Shirai Ryu, we only have the Lin Kuei at the start. It makes all the lore way tighter and makes the stakes throughout the story feel a bit higher as a result because everything is more interconnected. Following a short scuffle with Natara and Ermac, the three ninjas make their way further into the compound, and it's funny for how all of these characters are always referred to as ninja, that it was kind of remarkable to finally see them, sneak around. And it's not like they keep that up for very long, as they immediately jump into battle upon spotting Quan Chi and Shang Tsung. Yet, while neither sorcerer is a match for either of the Lin Kuei brothers, Shao Kahn and his forces prove to be too much, and with both Hot and Cold Brother captured, we finally get to the betrayal. Shang Tsung offers Bi-Han, Sub-Zero, who's been shown to have more of an interest in power rather than protecting Earthrealm, a position among his ranks, and the power to reform the Lin Kuei however he sees fit, once they win the war. Kuai Liang, Scorpion, is not thrilled by the decision Bi-Han makes. This familiarity between Scorpion and Sub-Zero makes the ages-long betrayal between the two sting even more in a new, original way. We cut back. Liu Kang goes back to Outworld to convene with Empress Sindel to inform her of what Shang Tsung is really doing, and he also tells her who he really is, the Keeper of Time, Fire God Liu Kang, a Titan. And it's kind of corny. It's a fine scene, but Sindel's weird turn to hesitant reverence is kind of weird, to me at least. Shao Kahn shows up, sucks 4 of our characters into Shinnok's amulet, gets his ass beat, and the characters are back before lunch. Again, another seeming time waster, but nothing I can't stomach at this point. With Sindel and her daughters back on Liu Kang's side, Liu Kang and the gang head to Shang Tsung and Quan Chi's hideout to put a stop to his soul-sucking plan. Along the way, we found out Ermac is actually King Jared, and his design gets even uglier, and then we get to the moment. I'm just gonna show you the scene.
You're not Damashi. You're me. More correctly, you are me. A poor facsimile, anyway. Made lesser by Liu Kang's meddling.
What's happening here? Who is he?
This Shang Tsung is whom I battled for the Hourglass. I thought him dead.
As I did you, Liu Kang. It turns out our battle released mammoth energies which ripped apart time's fabric. The fight had 2 conclusions. In one, I was the victor. In the other, it was you.
Oh, okay, yeah, so this is where it gets bad. I hate this scene. I hate everything about it because even if it's been a bit fillery at times, this story was setting us something really cool, something really great. A new condensed version of the Mortal Kombat lore, one where character-based stories have more room to shine, like those of Mileena and Tanya, Johnny and Kenshi, and Raiden and Kung Lao, and we throw all of that away to do multiverse bullshit. The ensuing parts of the story don't do anything to fix this. They make it worse, arguably, because we just bring back all those characters of the old timeline, now in control of their own universes and so far above consequences that the stakes of the story begin to feel so nothing. Because technically, yes, everything ever is at risk. And that makes it feel like nothing really is. What makes Spider-Verse the patient zero of the multiverse boom work at all is that at its core, it's a personal story. It's about Miles, his story of self-actualization. It's also about Gwen and about Peter B. Parker. It's about them as people and how they change throughout the events that they go through as a result of all the multiverse bullshit. It's about them. The multiverse is the backdrop to tell a story about characters we actually care about. Most stories building on the multiverse hype just don't get that. And then we get to the ending. This ending is the epitome of everything wrong with modern Mortal Kombat writing. It's all flash, no substance, an ending resting on the fact that you'll see something that makes you make any of these surprised or impressed faces. And on top of that, it's the same nostalgia baiting that this game does every single time it gets the chance. Why do we keep bringing back Armageddon? Why do we keep bringing back this fucking pyramid? People didn't like this game. That's why you reset the fucking timeline, Netherrealm. Stop doing it. And the worst part is that this is effectively the ending of all the character arcs and dynamics that have been happening throughout the story. We don't get any real substantial interactions between the characters we've grown to somewhat care about throughout this whole ending. Instead, we switch focus entirely onto one character of your choice, strip them of a lot of their characterization to fit into the mold of this ending, and treat it basically like their arcade mode ending. It's a frustrating, nostalgia-baiting cop-out, and it kills any potential that the new era truly had. Or, well, more like delivers a major blow to it, because after the Armageddon run back, we do get one last glimmer of hope. See, after our playable character gets beamed away so Liu Kang can finish the story or whatever, we cut back to Madame Bose. Johnny, Kenshi, Kung Lao, Raiden, and Liu Kang sit together around the table, and we just get some fun banter. Johnny telling his newfound friends about this movie he's based on their story. It's nothing inventive, it's nothing incredible, but it's a glimpse of the fun character dynamics this game focused on for its first half that I wished it focused on for both halves. And then Titan Havoc teases the DLC I haven't experienced it. I don't know. Maybe the DLC fixes my problems with the story. Maybe it doesn't. Probably doesn't. If you want me to make a video about it, though, leave a comment in the down below section. Sorry, I've never done a call to action like that before. It's super out of character. I'm sorry. Still, I like Mortal Kombat 1 story to an extent. I think it's a triumph overall, doing a lot right, improving in a lot of ways, but just making one fatal mistake that feels like executives coming together and telling them they have to put multiverse in this. And I hope what NetherRealm learned from this game isn't that people want more multiverse, but that we want more character. Or that I want, at least. I guess I can't read your mind. Still, even if you disagree with my points, I wouldn't mind if you sounded off about your disagreements in the comments below. Maybe even leave a like and subscribe so you can disagree with any of my future videos. I wouldn't mind. With that said, though, this is my cue to leave. I'll see you guys in the next video.